What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Deej. Thank you guys for watching this video today. Today we're going to do a little overview. Right, we've had a lot of news come through, and specifically in the NBA, with some trades. I forgot to put that in my notes. We're gonna have to go through that as well. But some extensions, some big time extensions, and then we got a little NFL, some injury news that I want to get into as well. So thank you guys for joining me and watching this video. So the first news we want to talk about is the three-team trade that went down between the Heat, the Clippers, and the Jazz. So the Heat are going to get Norman Powell from the Los Angeles Clippers. Right, Norman Powell's coming off a really good season, averaged just under 22 points per game, was having an all-star-like season before he kind of got banged up halfway through the season. But even in the playoffs, averaged 16 points per game, regular season, shot over 41% from three. So you're getting someone who can really give you an offensive punch that you can pair with Bam Adebayo, your DPOY type of big man, and then you have Tyler Hero, who's one of the more creative scoring options in the NBA as well. So Miami, after not making any moves, they bring in a proven veteran in Norman Powell. And that's really huge for them, right? And then for the Clippers, they're going to get John Collins from the Jazz. He's going to the Clippers. So while they lose Norman Powell, they beef up their front court, and I think that's a huge pickup for them because their biggest need for the Clippers was getting a power forward. So now you can now put Kawhi Leonard at, I think, his natural position, the three at small forward, and now you have Zubac, you have Harden, and I think you have like a Chris Dunn. They're obviously going to have to go. If Bradley Beal is bought out, they'll have to go within the buyout market to upgrade their depth at guard. Chris Paul is still available. He's considered he is considering maybe a return to the Clippers, and he will play his this will be his final season, he announced as well. So just finding the right fit. You also have in the from the Jazz side, they're gonna get Kevin Love basically for they're just dumping in some salary. This was for salary reasons why Kevin Love is included in the trade. They're going to get Kevin Love and I think a second round pick. So this was really, again, him. He was just to make the money and everything work. And he, had a funny tweet about, imagine being kind of the solution to the problems, kind of like math or something like that, man. Kevin Love, is always really, hilarious on social media. He'll probably just be a key veteran for them. But the Jazz, as you see, they've already let go of Jordan Clarkson. They've already let go of him. Could Lauri Markkanen reemerge in the trade market? Because now with getting rid of Jordan Clarkson, they've now traded John Collins. So they're getting rid of, like Brian Windhorst alluded to on ESPN NBA Today, they're getting rid of their veterans because they want to focus on the development of their young core. Right, they just drafted Ace Bailey. They just drafted Walter Clayton Jr. They had Kyle Filipowski, who was a steal last year in the second round. And again, Lauri Markkanen, I don't think is going to be their franchise player anymore, and he could reemerge and have some value. So look for him to potentially be on the trade block at the deadline. I expect he'll stick around until then for now. But also they've got Keontae George, Isaiah Collier. They've got a lot of promising young talent. And you've got Cody Williams and Taylor Hendricks. Like they've got a lot of young pieces that they wanna get on the court. And to free that up, they're gonna trade a lot of their veterans. So we'll see what the Jazz do from there. But again, John Collins coming off a rebound next season, averaged 18 points, I think 9 rebounds, shot 39% from three. So he played, he's going to give them, a stretch four who can space the floor. And also, he's going to fit well with James Harden being able to catch those lobs. So I'm happy for John Collins, former Hawk, so happy for him. And then Norman Powell again, shout out to my boy Brad and my boy Caden in their Heat, getting an offensive boost with Norman Powell, and I think again he's going to pair very well with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, and they've got Andrew Wiggins. They just drafted the point guard from Illinois as well, so they're Miami's rolling. They're doing really well. So hopefully, and again that's huge for them because again the East is wide open. Now let's get into the money side. We got some big extensions, right? Paolo Banchero. Love Paolo Banchero. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. One of the more underrated and rising star. Not even rising. He's one of the best young star players and more underrated players in the NBA. Paolo Banchero agreed to a 5-year extension, $239 million. which he can earn up to a maximum value of 287 million if he earns obviously the All NBA teams and wins or either wins MVP. So he did, of course, missed some time due to injury, played only 46 games, but was able to come back and really, after the All Star break, he really went on a tear. He finished the 25 season, averaging 26 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and he shot 45% from the field. Now, he still needs to continue to work on his perimeter and 3-point shooting. It's been kind of a little up and down. It's been wonky with him and Franz, but they've now locked up their core. Orlando, with Paolo now getting this extension. Franz Wagner, he got extended last year, and he's coming off a career year as well. Played 60 games, averaged 24 points as well. And then also they extended Jalen Suggs. You're hoping he can come back after, averaged, I think, 16 points per game, but he only shot 31% from three. So you're hoping he can get back to the year prior where he shot 37%. So you're hoping that he can improve and get better there and get back to form. And then you just acquired Desmond Bane. So now you've got your core four along with the Franz Wagners are going to, remain together as Mo Wagner, their center and a lead 6-man a year candidate coming off an injury. He signed a 1-year, $5 million deal to return to the team. So Orlando to me is definitely on paper a top 5 team in the East for sure. If they're healthy, and then again, if they can, become really get better, a lot better on the 3-point shooting end with Desmond Bane, and if Paolo Banchero can improve his efficiency as well as Suggs and Wagner, you've got a really good thing there. In the playoffs, in Paolo's career, in the 12 games that he's played, he's averaged 28 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 4 assists, and he's actually shot much better from 3 in the playoffs. So he shot 44%, 44.7%, and 40%, 41.8% from 3. So he's a much better 3-point shooter. So you want that to be consistent in the regular season to really, really, grow his game. And again, to me, and there's been this whole conversation about, who's better. I don't know who made this question. It was J-Dub versus Paolo Banchero, who's better. And look, I don't think this is not an argument. Like, Paolo Banchero is the franchise player on a team, whereas J-Dub is, no disrespect to him, he is the second option on his team. Granted, yes, they won the championship. And I think this question really developed because J-Dub just won the championship. He just won a ring. And he also was an all-star in he was all defensive team or an all NBA team. If Paolo Banchero didn't get injured, didn't miss time, obviously if you don't meet the 65 game threshold, you don't get any of the top accolades that I mentioned, the all NBAs, the MVP, and all that stuff. So yeah, you don't get that. And obviously, Paolo Banchero, with him not being, healthy, missing some time, he wasn't able to get those. So, but we know who the better player is. And even if you swap the two, OKC would be even better than what they are. Imagine SGA and Paolo Banchero together. That would be insane. But again, big props to Paolo, in my opinion, to Orlando. They've done a really good job too of just drafting the big and drafting doing well. They've got to maximize their player, and hopefully he can lead them to a championship. And I no doubt about it, there is a chance, and I hate saying that. I hope he doesn't, because again, I'm hoping my Hawks can prevent him from doing that. But again, really good young player. Love his game. Again, just one of the more physical, imposing, really good players in the NBA. Just a really good player, and he's quite young as well. So you got the first overall pick getting paid, and then you have the number 2 pick. Speaking of OKC, Chet Holmgren, right? Both of those guys, him and J-Dub. Chet Holmgren gets his extension first. He's going to get the 5-year max. It's going to be a $239 million deal, with a chance where he can earn up to $250 million if he earns the All NBA teams and wins MVP. I don't expect that Chet Holmgren will ever probably win MVP given the current state of the NBA and the type of players, but Chet Holmgren gets the bag. Now, this one's more interesting. Paolo, that was easy. Paolo, I was itching for him to get the bag. Chet Holmgren, this one you're paying off potential. This is you're paying him. You've seen enough to where, okay, we haven't seen enough of what we like, but we've seen enough, and we just want a ring. You got to pay him based off the upside, and it's a risk. This is definitely going to be a gamble for OKC because, again, as good as Chet Holmgren to me is specifically defensively, To me, he's still very raw on the offensive end and the health. Missed all of his rookie season. I think it was 2022. He played all 82 games his second year, and last year only played 32 games, suffered that nasty hip injury, and you could tell he wasn't quite himself. So you're hopeful that a full off season he can really get healthy and return to form, and you can also see improvement offensively from him because down the stretch in the postseason he really couldn't hit a three. He was struggling in and out from three. But still was a defensive force. There was the last game where of the season too that helped win the championship. He had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks. He was a defensive menace, and again, Chet Holmgren has been that in his career when you've seen him play. Last season, averaged 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2.2 blocks, shot 49% from the field. In the regular season, when he was on the floor, shot 37.9%. So if he can become a consistent 3-point shooter, and you can see him grow his game, and you want to see him get stronger with that frame as well. I really think the sky's the limit for him. In the NBA Finals, he averaged 12 points per game, 9 rebounds, 1.6 blocks, and in the postseason, he led all players in the postseason with the most. He had the highest plus minus of any player with 169 plus minus. So that means he was a positive player on the floor. And again, of course, that comes to with being the elite defender that he is. He is one of the best defenders in the NBA. He definitely has defensive player of the year potential. So that's really good. So you are paying your big, who is an elite shot blocker, can protect the rim, moves very well, can guard, basically 1 through 5. You're just hoping that he stays healthy. So it's going to be interesting to see what J Dub gets. And again, hopefully he's doing well with his injury. He played through, so commend him for that. Hopefully that we're gonna see what J Dub gets. And again, J Dub's coming off a great season where he averaged 21, 5 and 5, and also had some really good performances. You got to give it to him because dude was playing basically on one arm and one hand. So props to J Dub. So we'll see what per Shams, and this all news is according to ESPN and Shams. Per Shams, both sides are in positive talks, and a deal is in the works, and hopefully should be announced soon. So that's really positive to hear. So it's going to be interesting what they give him. And also, when you talk about OKC, right? The good news is these extensions don't kick in for another 2 years. So again, when we bring up the term dynasty, they have a chance to really capitalize on that term for the next 2 years until these contracts really kick in. And as me and my good boy Saya, we've talked about with the second apron and everything, when that kicks in, the good news is Oklahoma City, they have the draft picks and the assets to really to retool their team once their core players contracts kick in. So that's a positive thing there. Now let's talk about a key veteran who also just got the bag today, Devin Booker. He is agreeing to a 2-year, $145 million maximum extension, $72.5 million a year. Shea just got the bag not too long ago. Shea's was 4 years, $285 million. That's like I think it was like $73 million. These players are getting paid, man. We're gonna see, and me and my good friend too, he was just talking to me about it. We were just talking like, who's going to be the first player to make $80 million a year? So it's going to be it's going to get to that point, man. It could be somebody that makes $100 million. We don't know. Like seeing the growth of sports and seeing the growth of the cap space, and the salary cap, like the money is about to be coming in for these players, and that's just a good thing, with the growth of sports over the years. So you got to give it to, the leagues and and what have you there. Devin Booker though, yeah, 2 years, 145 million. He is now under contract through the 2029-30 season. So this keeps him under contract there. And this is going to be interesting, right, for Devin Booker, because I've talked about this. I've been thinking about this a lot. I really think Devin Booker is kind of in that same boat with Giannis. I know we've been talking about the Giannis. What is Giannis going to do? Is he going to stay in Milwaukee? When is he going to leave? When that have you? But I'm like, too, for Devin Booker. Like, when is it going to kind of, because Devin Booker's going to be 29 years old. He'll be 30 years old next year. Like, Devin Booker's he's getting older, right? And they haven't been back to the finals since 2021 when you played the Bucks. They, I think, were the first seed following 160 games, but lost to the Denver Nuggets in the second round. And since then, once they got Bradley Beal, their team, I talk about it, it just messed their team up. And Devin Booker's playing out of position, playing point guard. Now, props to him though, playing point guard with the ball more in his hands. Had a good year, played 75 games. He averaged 25.6 points per game, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, a career high 7 assists. So that is very encouraging to hear. And he shot 46% from the floor, 33% from three. You're hoping that efficiency, for Devin Booker, it does improve. Career 35% 3-point shooter. But we've seen Devin Booker be a flamethrower from three. Another thing to note too for Devin Booker, since 2017, his third season, he has averaged at least 25 points, 4 rebounds, or 4 assists plus since 2017. So the dude has been an absolute, just bucket. He is an absolute bucket. And the good news, I think the Suns, they're definitely more in a retool. They just traded Kevin Durant. They got Jalen Green. They're expected to buy out Bradley Beal at some point. The two sides are working on that, and you could see Bradley Beal also maybe look out for the Clippers to get with Bradley Beal if he's bought out, which I do expect he will in the next coming days or weeks. So and then now that creates obviously more. He'll get we'll see if Jalen Green with a fresh start can play a lot better, can be a more efficient and consistent player if he can improve his game. You bring in a really good defender in Dylan Brooks, who's one of the best, ferocious defenders in the NBA. Even though his attitude, I'm gonna be honest, I don't like Devin. I don't like Dylan Brooks as a player. But you also too. One thing I've liked as well is you bring in right. You draft Kalama Molywak from Duke, who was an elite rim protector in college for that Duke team with Cooper Flagg and Con Knuckle and Caden Proctor, and those guys. And again, has the potential to be a floor spacing big as well, so he can space the floor. And then you bring in Mark Williams, who was nearly traded to the Lakers. That didn't go through to the medical, and that's been the thing with him, right? The injuries, but that trade has officially gone through. He is now going to be with the Suns. And this is a guy that averaged 15 points, 8 rebounds, and a block per game, and is 7'1" with a notorious wingspan. So you now can have that double big lineup, and I'm sure kind of what the Dallas Mavericks do, where they have Daniel Gafford, they'll start him, and then you have Derek Lively, who can play starting minutes, come off the bench, keep your bigs fresh, and I think that's really going to be really cool for them. Mark Williams, him being the veteran, more experienced, he'll start, but Molywak can come off the bench and be another elite rim protector for you. So I like that for the Suns, and hopefully again with some more defense and a more defensive identity. I know they hired Jordan Ott from in the head coaching market, so hopefully he can be a stable head coach and can stick with them for the long run. And maybe the Suns, they can be back competing in the Western Conference, which is maybe they could maybe be a sleeper team. We don't know. So but yeah, there's that with Devin Booker. We'll see if hopefully things go well where he can remain and the Suns can be back competing again. But if not, in my opinion, if I'm Devin Booker, I'm even with me signing this extension to make sure I'm secure financially. Um, I want to make sure that this team is on the right track within the next couple of years. You know what I mean? Because again, I think he's in that same boat. Like at one point, you don't want to be on the same team. You get the same results, mediocre results. So, lastly, I want to talk about with the NFL. This will be the last news. Tristan Wirfs, the starting left tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's going to miss the start of the season. He's going to be placed on the PUP list. He's having arthroscopic knee surgery. He was dealing with a nagging issue starting from the end of the regular season. I think too this was really mishandled by the front office and the medical staff. They should have got this done. It had been he'd been dealing with something. They recommended rest to start, but they're just not waiting until midway through July to get this done, and now he's going to miss the first 4 games. And this is a big loss because Tristan Wirfs arguably is one of the best, if not the best, tackle in football. He was last year. 95% pass block win rate, which was first. He had an 82.8 PFF grade, which was ninth, and a 93.7 pass blocking grade, which was first. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when he is in the starting lineup and he is starting on the offensive line, they are a top 5. They were a top 5 offensive line last year. They signed Charlie Heck, from the 49ers to be a swing tackle. He's now going to have to step up and be their starter for the first 4 games, and they've got a tough schedule as well. So they've got a tough schedule. They play the Eagles. I think they play the Packers. And again, you want to keep Baker Mayfield protected, specifically on his blind side. Another thing to note too, Tristan Wirfs too, 0 sacks allowed, 1 pressure. That dude is a anchor. That is what you call anchoring the offensive line, anchoring the blind side, keeping your quarterback. No wonder why Baker Mayfield nearly had an MVP. He had an MVP like season because Tristan Wirfs was doing his damn job, keeping him upright. So now, unfortunately, he's gonna miss the first 4 games, and he might not even be 100% when he comes back. So you're hoping, he's able after the surgery, the pain and everything is relieved, but he's gonna be out. He's not gonna play. He's not gonna be in training camp, and he's gonna miss the first 4 games of the season. So you're hoping he comes back ready to go, and and again, this is a big year for Tampa because pretty much they're the best team in. We gotta wait and see what Michael Penix can do with Atlanta, which I do expect with him being the guy going forward. I expect he's going to have a good season. Bijan Robinson and the crew, and Drake London. And then you got Bryce Young, maybe Bryce Young too in the Panthers. You got to look out for them too. They could be, with him taking that year 3 jump, you've got him there. And then I'm not worried 100% about the Saints. Don't get me started on New Orleans. No, I'm not, no. They've got a 26-year-old Tyler Shook as their starting quarterback. I am not worried about the Saints. Maybe prove me wrong, Tyler Shook or Spencer Rattler. I'm not. I think the Saints. They're gonna be they're. If I had to bet, I would predict them to be picking number 1 overall next year. Just keeping it real. Maybe they're better than what I think they're going to be, but yeah, that's what I truly believe. Just due to the quarterback issue they have. But that's here nor there. But yeah, that's pretty much that's all the news, guys. I'm gonna make sure I keep pushing out the content and the overviews, and football season is nearing return. College football is about to come out. It might have just came out. I'm gonna check the game so I can get it and play it. But thank y'all for for the support, and thank you guys for everything. And y'all have a blessed day and be safe. Peace out.